Welcome to today's podcast. If you're an entrepreneur, a dreamer building something from scratch, or someone who's ever wondered how to survive the toughest moments in business, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving into a book that's considered a must-read by entrepreneurs around the world, The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. This isn't just any book, it's the ultimate guide to navigating the brutal realities of business. So, grab your headphones and stick around, because by the end of this episode, you'll walk away with insights that could truly transform the way you face challenges in your journey. You know, when we think about success stories in business, we often hear about the end result, the big wins, the triumphs. But very few people talk about the hard things that come before those successes. Ben Horowitz doesn't sugarcoat things, and that's why his book stands out. He gives you the raw truth about the difficulties that every entrepreneur faces. And here's the kicker. He teaches you not just how to survive those tough times, but how to thrive in them. One of the first lessons Horowitz gives us is about the constant uncertainty we face. Starting and running a business is like being in the eye of a storm. Everything looks calm on the outside, but the winds are swirling around you, and you have no idea what'll happen next. Horowitz talks about the peacetime CEO versus the wartime CEO. A peacetime CEO is the one running a stable, growing business where things are predictable. But a wartime CEO? They're the ones who have to step up when everything is falling apart, when you're surrounded by chaos, and decisions are needed right now. So, which one are you today? This is where it gets really practical. A wartime CEO is someone who's going to make tough, sometimes unpopular, decisions. They won't wait for everything to be perfect or for all the information to come in. They act fast because, in times of crisis, hesitation can kill your business. Horowitz emphasizes that the biggest challenge leaders face is making these tough calls. And here's the reality, you're not going to have all the answers, and it's going to feel like you're guessing half the time. But here's what he says, sometimes, making a decision is more important than making the right one. That's powerful. It's about moving forward, adjusting when necessary, and not letting fear of failure paralyze you. Now, how do you put this into your life? Whether you're running a business or just managing a project, when things get tough, don't wait for the perfect moment or perfect information. That's a trap. Push yourself to make decisions. They don't have to be flawless, but they need to be decisive. This doesn't mean rushing headlong into poor choices, but don't get caught in overthinking. Instead, assess the situation quickly and move. You'll learn and adjust faster than if you just stand still. But here's the thing, as much as we're told to keep pushing through challenges, Ben Horowitz also acknowledges the human side of being a leader. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed. Sometimes, the weight of being responsible for a company, a team, or even our own life can feel like too much. And Horowitz gets real about this. He shares moments from his own life where he felt like everything was falling apart. It's easy to think that successful people have it all together, that they don't struggle with doubt, fear, or loneliness. But Horowitz tells us something important, that these moments of doubt are normal. They're part of the process. It's not about avoiding them but learning how to deal with them. So, the next time you're facing a huge challenge, remember that it's not just you. Even the top CEOs face the same internal struggles. The difference is how you respond. Don't let doubt take control. Push through it, learn from it, and take action anyway. Alright, let's jump into one of the hardest parts of running a company, the people. As Ben Horowitz says, you can't run a company on your own, no matter how talented you are. At some point, you need to rely on your team. But here's the twist, building the right team isn't as easy as just finding skilled people. It's about finding the right people who fit your culture and can handle the grind. One thing Horowitz talks about is the difficulty of firing people. It's one of the toughest calls you'll have to make as a leader. You may have hired someone with the best of intentions, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. The key here is not letting personal feelings cloud your judgment. Horowitz advises that as painful as it is, if someone isn't working out, you need to make that call quickly. The longer you wait, the more damage can be done, not just to the business, but to the morale of the team. A leader who hesitates to make these decisions may find themselves trapped in a toxic work environment, which can affect productivity, innovation, and even the entire company culture. Now, how can we apply this in our own lives? Whether you're running a business or managing a team in any context, recognize when someone isn't contributing the way you need them to. And understand that firing isn't personal, it's professional. It's about getting your team aligned with the vision you have. And honestly, making those hard calls can ultimately build a stronger, more cohesive group that will get you closer to your goals. Another lesson Horowitz imparts is on the topic of scaling your business. As your company grows, the problems you face get more complex. What worked for you when you had a small team may not work when you have 100 employees or more. There's no simple roadmap for scaling, and that's something Ben makes very clear. You can't rely on guesswork, you need a plan. But here's the catch: sometimes, even the best-laid plans don't work. So, what do you do when things go wrong? Horowitz doesn't shy away from sharing his own failures. For example, when he was building his company, he talks about how everything seemed to fall apart in one crucial moment. He says, "You're going to face setbacks, but how you respond to them is what makes or breaks you." And that's crucial. It's all about your mindset. When things don't go according to plan, and trust me, they won't, it's not about giving up. It's about adjusting your sails, changing course if needed, and never losing sight of the bigger picture. Now, I know we all want to be successful quickly, but this idea of pivoting is something that takes patience and grit. Horowitz warns that getting too attached to one idea can make you blind to better opportunities. It's okay to let go of something that's not working. So, in practical terms, take a step back when you hit a wall. Ask yourself, what's the bigger picture? What's the next logical step? What can I learn from this failure? And instead of sticking to your original plan just because it's your plan, be open to making adjustments and exploring new paths. One of the best pieces of advice Horowitz offers is about taking care of yourself. As a leader, you're not just managing a business, you're managing yourself. The mental and emotional toll of being a CEO or entrepreneur can be overwhelming, and if you don't take care of yourself, eventually, the business will suffer. But here's the hard truth. There will be times when the stress is so high that you'll feel like quitting. But Horowitz stresses that the best leaders don't quit. They keep going no matter how tough it gets. That might sound a bit cliché, but the way Horowitz puts it makes it feel real. It's not about never giving up, it's about having the resilience to face those hard moments and to dig deeper when you think you've hit rock bottom. Because, spoiler alert, rock bottom isn't always the end. Sometimes, it's just the beginning of a new chapter. And that's the mindset that keeps leaders like Horowitz and many other successful entrepreneurs moving forward. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remind yourself that this feeling is temporary. What's more important is your ability to show up every day, make decisions, and take action. One of the key elements of The Hard Thing About Hard Things that stands out is Ben's take on managing the tough decisions that every leader has to make, especially when faced with failure. He talks about how, in the early days, his company suffered a massive hit. One moment, they were flying high, and the next, everything seemed to collapse. At that point, there wasn't a clear road to recovery. But Horowitz didn't give up, and that's something we can all learn from. When you face failure, it's easy to feel like it's the end of the road. Horowitz tells the story of how he and his team had to make gut-wrenching decisions to cut back on costs, pivot the business model, and ultimately do things they never thought they'd have to. But the key lesson here is that the pressure of failure is often the crucible that shapes the future of your company. Failure can teach you things that success simply cannot. It forces you to think differently, to sharpen your strategies, and to grow stronger as a leader. What's powerful about Ben Horowitz's approach is how he emphasizes that no matter how tough it gets, you have to act. When decisions get difficult, it's easy to freeze, but Horowitz pushes you to take decisive action. He says that even if you make the wrong call, it's better than standing still. It's the small steps, the consistent efforts, that lead to breakthroughs. And that's the mindset you need to thrive, not just survive. Think about how you can apply this in your life. Let's say you've hit a major setback in your business or career, things aren't going the way you planned. Instead of just waiting for it to fix itself, take charge. Break down the problem. Reevaluate your options, and make a decision. It might not always be the right one, but taking action will get you closer to the solution. Another crucial lesson from Horowitz is around hiring and firing. He talks about how the early days of his company were defined by a constant battle to find the right people. Hiring the wrong person, he admits, can be a killer. But the hardest part? Letting go of someone you've worked closely with. Firing people doesn't just hurt their morale, it hurts your own too. But it's essential to remember that a successful company relies on a team that can work together effectively. The culture, values, and drive of your team are what determine your success in the long run. The idea of culture is woven throughout this book, and Horowitz stresses that your company's culture is the foundation of everything. It's not just about having a fun environment or being kind to each other. It's about creating a space where people can truly thrive, learn, and contribute. And if someone's not fitting into that vision, they're not just a liability to the company, they're a roadblock to growth. So, no matter how difficult it is, being able to make tough decisions about who's on your team is crucial. As you go about building your team or your personal network, take a look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Are these people who push you to grow? Do they challenge your thinking, or are they just comfortable with the status quo? Building a solid network is all about the long-term game, not the short-term comfort. If you want to build something that lasts, you need people who are committed to that journey, no matter how hard it gets. Now, another part of Ben's philosophy that's worth noting is his stance on mental toughness. He says that while strategy, execution, and timing are all important, mental toughness is what separates the ones who make it from those who don't. The pressure you'll face as a leader can be overwhelming, and it's easy to doubt yourself. Horowitz acknowledges this, but he also emphasizes that resilience and the ability to keep moving forward, even when everything around you is falling apart, is the key to ultimate success. How do you build mental toughness? For Ben, it's about embracing the pain. It's about accepting that the tough days are part of the journey. They're not something to be avoided, but something to lean into. And when things get tough, remind yourself that the pain is temporary and it's a necessary part of growth. Each hardship teaches you something new, whether it's about your business, your leadership skills, or even your own limitations. This brings us to a crucial takeaway. The greatest leaders aren't necessarily the ones with the most natural talent. They are the ones who can push through difficult times, who can take the tough decisions, and who understand that every setback is just a stepping stone toward something bigger. You don't need to have everything figured out from day one. What matters is your ability to adjust, to learn, and to persist when things don't go as planned. In practical terms, building mental toughness might look like making the hard decisions in your business or even your personal life, sticking to a routine when things seem uncertain, and not letting the little setbacks derail your bigger vision. As we wrap up this journey through Ben Horowitz's insights, let's take a step back and reflect on one of his most crucial ideas: the importance of leadership during crises. Throughout the book, he talks about how crises can either make or break you as a leader. In the midst of a storm, it's easy to panic. But as Ben points out, the true measure of leadership is how you act when the pressure is on, when everyone else is looking to you for answers. Horowitz emphasizes that leadership in a crisis isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up, making decisions, and sticking to a course of action even when it feels uncertain. He calls it being the calm in the storm. But how do you actually implement this in your life? Well, first, it starts with preparation. The more you prepare for tough situations, the more equipped you'll be when they arise. This preparation isn't just about having a plan in place. It's about building the mental and emotional resilience to face anything that comes your way. A great way to prepare for crises, whether in business or personal life, is to regularly put yourself in challenging situations that force you to think critically and act decisively. Take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. When the real crisis hits, you'll be better able to stay composed and lead with confidence. Now, let's talk about scaling. One of the central themes in Ben's book is the challenge of scaling a business. He shares stories of how his company grew rapidly, only to face issues of capacity, culture, and leadership. Scaling isn't just about growing faster, it's about sustaining growth while maintaining the essence of your business. Horowitz offers practical advice here. Focus on building a strong foundation before expanding too quickly. It's tempting to chase every opportunity, but without the right infrastructure, those opportunities can quickly become burdens. He shares that the key to successful scaling lies in aligning your team, your processes, and your culture with the vision of the company. The same principle can apply to your personal growth as well. If you want to scale your life, you need a strong foundation in place. Your habits, your health, your relationships, your mindset. Growth isn't just about doing more. It's about doing things in a way that supports and sustains long-term success. Ben Horowitz's book also addresses the need to embrace the unknown. He talks about the importance of making decisions even when you don't have all the information. This is where a lot of people get stuck, waiting for certainty before they act. The reality is, there's rarely ever a perfect time or perfect conditions to take action. In those moments, Horowitz urges you to trust your instincts, take calculated risks, and be prepared to pivot as needed. A great way to apply this to your life is to start making decisions with confidence, even if you don't have all the answers. You don't need to know everything about a situation before you take action, but you do need to move forward. Life is about momentum. As you keep moving, you learn more, you adapt, and you grow. Now, if there's one overarching principle that Ben teaches throughout the book, it's that success isn't about avoiding hard things. It's about going through them and coming out stronger on the other side. There's no magic formula, no shortcut to the top. It's all about persistence, learning, and adapting. As you apply the principles from The Hard Thing About Hard Things to your own life, it's important to remember that each challenge is an opportunity to level up. Whether you're building a business or building your personal brand, the hard things are what will push you to grow. They force you to think critically, to refine your strategies, and to develop the grit needed to succeed in the long term. So, take the lessons from Ben Horowitz's journey and apply them to your own. Don't shy away from hard decisions. Don't let failure define you. Instead, embrace the struggle. It's the only way to truly grow and succeed in both business and life. And as you face those hard things, remember, you don't have to do it alone. Build a strong team, seek advice from mentors, and keep pushing forward, no matter what. Because, as Ben would say, the hardest things are often the most rewarding. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this podcast helpful, make sure to subscribe and share your thoughts with us in the comments. What challenges are you facing, and how can you use these principles to overcome them? Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time.